first plugged-in episode of 2021. Join us as we take a look back at 2020 and what a memorable year it was, from celebrating milestone events like Plugged In's 100th episode to a global pandemic hitting us. So stay with us, because a walk down memory lane is coming up next right here on Kidney Plugged In. The new year ushered in 2020, and we asked you, what's on your New Year's resolution list? Staying active, making healthier food choices. Well, you've come to the right place. On this episode, real dietitian Beverly takes us shopping and has some helpful hints to reading labels on food packaging. Then, Talking Kidney takes a yoga class to begin his shape up in the new year. And we're talking to doctors at St. Paul's Continuing Education Conference about what potential signs of kidney disease they look for in their patients. It's all next, right here on Plugged In.
So I'm here on location today, downtown Vancouver, at St. Paul's Conference for Primary Care Physicians. We've got some great pieces coming up. Today we're going to talk to doctors about the prevalence of kidney disease in their practice. What kind of symptoms do they see from patients who walk through their doors? As we know, the symptoms for kidney disease are often silent, and early diagnosis is really, really important. So we want to hear from primary care physicians, the ones on the front lines. What do they see each and every day in their practice, and some of the things that they can share with us so we are aware of those risk factors.
Hi, welcome to Healthier You. I'm Beverly, a dietitian at St. Paul's Hospital. Food labels can tell us a lot about the nutritional value of our food and can help you make food choices that are best for you. Today I'm going to show you how to simplify label reading when you go grocery shopping with these 3 easy steps. Come, follow me.
Welcome to yoga class, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, we have Deep Savage.
In February, just in time for Valentine's Day, we interviewed Patty and her husband JD in an episode we called A Renal Romance. Patty is a PKD patient and an outstanding athlete who defied all odds by competing in the Maui to Molokai outrigger canoe race just weeks prior to her scheduled kidney transplant. Her living donor, her husband JD. Their story is one of hope, love, and triumph, and one that will not only inspire you, but it will warm your heart just in time for Valentine's Day.
Wraps up a lovely evening on the water. We're going to leave Patty out with the Hardy Bus chickens, and we're going to catch up with her later post-transplant. Well, 2.5 months have now passed since Plugged In first caught up with Patty Lawson while training with her outrigger canoe team, the Hardy Bus Chickens. That was at the Burrard Civic Marina, which is one of the homes of the Falls Creek Racing Canoe Club. At that time, Patty, who has polycystic kidney disease, was end stage and awaiting a kidney transplant. But as we heard, that wasn't stopping her from doing anything, including competing in the annual outrigger canoe race between the islands of Maui and Molokai, Hawaii. That's a 26-mile stretch of open ocean. A lot has happened since that first interview. Most notably is the kidney transplant that Patty received from her husband and living donor, JD, on October 28, 2019. Now they're both 2.5 months post-surgery, and we're here at their home to talk to them both, Patty and JD, about their kidney transplant journey. Thanks so much for inviting us into your home, you guys.
Thanks for coming.
How are things?
Great. Everything's going well.
Both feeling really good.
Right. Well, take us back to a few weeks before your transplant. Was there preparation that you both had to do in order to have surgery?
I went for a lot of testing beforehand. They had to do final blood work, antibody work, a few scans, chest x-rays, things that you do before any surgery. There was also house preparations. We have 2 kids, so lots of shopping, lots of cooking, putting it in the freezer, making sure we had childcare, taking care of kids getting to school, that sort of stuff.
And you have 2 young daughters.
Yes, I have 9-year-old twins, Avalon and Matilda.
Wow. So both of you undergoing surgery, and you've got 2 children at home.
Yes.
Patty and JD, your story is one of love and hope and inspiration and health. Thank you for sharing it with our plugged-in viewers on this special Valentine's Day episode.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
And in February, Plugged In reached a milestone celebrating its 100th episode.
Well, Barb, here we are.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Plugged In. You're in for a treat because what are we celebrating, Deb?
We are celebrating Plugged In's 100th episode.
Now I get a chance to do it.
That's why Deb writes the script. Okay, Plugged In on one side and YouTube on the other. And there we go. Cut the cake. Yeah. Okay, cheers to Plugged In. And the celebrations continued into March, which is, of course, Kidney Health Month. And that means it was time for the Kidney Gala.
Hi, I'm Manpreet and welcome to the 8th Annual Kidney Gala. It's a night of inspiration and glamour. The theme for tonight is the Roaring 20s. So get ready, we're going to show you all the glitz and glamour from the 1920s.
And in March, Plugged In visited the Festival du Bois for the very first time. It's the largest and most well-attended Francophone festival in all of Western Canada. And Plugged In's Francophone host, Océane Trudel, was on hand to show us around.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Océane de Plugged In et je suis présentement à Maillardville, dans le berceau de la francophonie de la Colombie-Britannique, et je m'apprête à entrer au Festival du Bois. Donc, qu'est-ce que le Festival du Bois? Il s'agit d'un festival de musique francophone, donc la francophonie canadienne et la francophonie du monde. Et à ce festival-là, c'est 3 jours. C'est axé principalement sur la musique, donc nous avons des groupes de partout au monde, francophones évidemment. Et on a aussi beaucoup de nourriture de toutes les cultures francophones du monde et du Canada. On a aussi des ateliers pour toute la famille, ainsi que des activités tout au long de la journée. Donc je vous invite à venir visiter avec moi.
April? Well, it ushered in more than just April showers this year. By then, the COVID-19 pandemic was in full swing. And on Plugged In, we introduced our new We've Got You Covered for COVID series that had a variety of informational segments and helpful daily tips for kidney patients as they navigated their way through these challenging times.
Kidney patients stay safe. The news is changing daily. The virus is spreading. It is more important now than ever that you put your health first during this pandemic. Here are some simple but important tips to help keep kidney patients safe during the COVID-19 outbreak.
And Plugged In honored Green Shirt Day and the Logan Boulet effect on April 7th with a look back from the inaugural Green Shirt Day in 2019. Today, special guest Suzanne Solvin from Blue Cross joined us in our Plugged In studios to discuss the extensive process of how prescription drugs are approved and brought to market by Health Canada.
So for a drug to become available for sale in Canada, a manufacturer has to conduct rigorous clinical trials for specific indications that they're looking to get approval for, and then submit that clinical dossier to Health Canada. Health Canada is a branch of the federal government, and so they're responsible for looking at determining whether the drug is efficacious, which means does the drug really work in the indication that it's being sought for, as well as is it safe? So we want to make sure that the drug is safe for people, and it's always this balance between balance and risk of safety and efficacy.
And in keeping with physical distancing recommendations, the Kidney Walk goes virtual on June 7th. And as the momentum builds, people are showing us their best, their worst, their silliest, and their wackiest moves in our Walk Like Nobody's Watching campaign.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock walk. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock walk. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock walk. We're going to walk around the block tonight. Put your glad rags on and join me, hun. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes 1. We're going to walk around the block tonight. We're going to walk, walk, walk till broad daylight. We're going to walk around the block tonight. Hey everyone, June the 7th. It's Walk Around the Block time for the Kidney Foundation. Hope to see you out there. If you're not, you're square. See ya.
And on June 7th, the Kidney Walk went virtual for the very first time. And participants from across Western Canada showed their support for kidney patients by fundraising and then walking their own block while staying safe and following physical distancing guidelines.
Stephanie here, and it's a gorgeous Sunday, June 7th. Kidney Walk 2020. And I'm happy to be out walking my kidney, and I'm thinking about my dad out walking his kidney like he walks every day. Sing in the rain. And why are we singing in the rain? Because we're walking for the kidneys. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! We're walking for the kidneys. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Okay, kidneywalk.ca. See you there. Woo!
And National Indigenous Peoples Day is celebrated every year on June 21st. And we had more information on that in our June segment of Did You Know? Did you know that Canada's National Indigenous Peoples Day is annually held on June 21st? And it's a celebration for the unique heritage, diverse cultures, and the outstanding achievements of the nation's Indigenous peoples. And there are 3 Indigenous groups in Canada: the First Nations, the Inuit, and the Métis people. And did you know you're at higher risk of kidney disease if you have an ethnic background, such as Indigenous, Asian, South Asian, or African? You're also at risk if you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, or a family history of kidney disease. If kidney disease is diagnosed early in its progression, it can be slowed down and sometimes even stopped through medication and changes to lifestyle. So please talk to your family doctor about assessing your kidney health with a simple EGFR blood test. And now you know. Plugged In started off July with the bang, celebrating Canada's 153rd birthday. It's our July episode, and we want to wish Canada a very happy 153rd birthday. And of course, we want to wish all of you a happy, healthy, and safe Canada Day celebration. And our We've Got You Covered for COVID series is back with more helpful tips to assist you navigate your way through COVID-19. We have a special episode in store for you today as we welcome back Janine Trones and continue our mini documentary series, A Family's Journey Towards Kidney Transplantation. Janine is here to bring us up to date on their journey towards kidney transplantation as the search continues to find a donor for their daughter, Ava. And she talks about the challenges they've faced as a family dealing with kidney disease during the COVID-19 pandemic.
In regards to COVID-19 and kidney clinic visits, especially at children's, they are extremely strict with their protocols. There's one entrance in and out of children's that you have to check in. They ask questions, they check your temperature, At the once-a-month clinic visits that Ava has, we experience that one parent is able to be there with her. The other person has to FaceTime in, so we've taken turns to that happening. And what we've also experienced is that every other month they'll do a virtual appointment. So we're able to stay home and they're able to all Zoom in and able to ask her questions and experience things virtually, and then in person the next month, and so on.
If it's August, it means Kidney Camp is just around the corner. Unfortunately, this year, due to COVID-19, Kidney Camp had to be canceled. But that didn't stop us from sharing some fun highlights from past years at Camp Latona.
For the first time in 15 years, camp had to be cancelled in 2020. The BC government mandated that there would be no overnight camps due to the coronavirus pandemic. There were a lot of very disappointed campers, nurses, and camp staff, but we all recognized that the safety of the campers was the first priority. The Kidney Foundation is very optimistic that camp will be able to resume next summer, but only if the safety and well-being of all campers can be assured.
And Talking Kidney was back with hosts David C. Jones and Sydney the Kidney, who showed how they were having fun this summer while wearing their masks and observing physical distancing regulations. Then Plugged In traveled to Qualicum Beach to introduce you to a very special guest, Chief Michael Wakalma of Qualicum First Nations, who shared his journey with kidney disease and his search for a life-saving kidney donor.
I would have to say I didn't discover I had kidney disease until I was in the emergency room. When the nurse took my blood pressure, it was through the roof. And from there, the diagnosis was made that there's something wrong, horribly wrong with your kidneys, and started my first round of dialysis. It was told to me by a nurse. She said, think about your kidneys, Michael, and what they do for you. And she goes, what we're doing to you in 4 hours, your kidneys do all day and all night. It's 4 hours of kidney work, cleaning your blood.
While the chief does not know exactly how long he will be on dialysis, what he does know is that he'll be on dialysis until he gets a kidney transplant. And hopefully that is sooner rather than later.
The clock is ticking, but you've got to wait. You're literally got to wait your turn, unless you find your own living donor.
In September, we debuted a 3-part mini-series introducing the Kidney Foundation's National Research Fund. This provides research grants for the advancement of research in kidney health, kidney disease, organ donation, and transplantation. And we kicked off this series with an interview with none other than Dr. Caroline Lamarche, the recipient of a 3-year research grant.
So I'm here with Dr. Caroline Lamarche. Dr. Lamarche, would you like to introduce yourself and just let us know how you were involved with the Kidney Foundation?
Hi, so I'm a trained nephrologist. I did my nephrology training in Montreal, and then I did a postdoctoral fellowship in Vancouver under the supervision of Megan Livings at UBC. And the project I was working on was funded by the Crescent Fellowship. So I was part of the Crescent program for 3 years, and it just ended in last June.
And the 2020 Kidney March took place in September too. Of course, it was in a new format this year. We are so pleased to have joining us today one of the first-year participants of the Kidney March, David Bancroft. David, welcome to Plugged In.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my very first Kidney March, and it was a wonderful cause. I wanted to challenge myself physically and raise some money for this issue. I also wanted to be part of this terrific community of the Kidney March community.
In October, we brought you part 2 in our mini-series on the Kidney Foundation's National Research Fund with an interview with Dr. Peter Nickerson, who is the co-chair of the Kidney Foundation's Research Council, and he discussed the extensive process involved in the research granting process.
We are so pleased to have Dr. Nickerson with us here today, all the way from Winnipeg. Hello, Dr. Nickerson.
Hi, Ramya. Good to be here today.
What does the application process look like, and how are the award recipients decided?
Yeah, so another great question. So this is a very rigorous process. It goes through a thing called peer review, which are other researchers and scientists in Canada who have knowledge in the area of kidney health or kidney research. And essentially, an individual who's a scientist or a clinician or even an allied health professional, they'll have an idea, a hypothesis of what they think is true, and then they'll put down on paper in their application exactly how they're going to prove or disprove this idea. And many times these ideas need to have some preliminary data. They need to, what's the evidence to support this? What do we know from the prior evidence that's out in the literature? So the researcher will bring all these together and they'll write it up in their application. And then that application goes to the committee that reviews through this peer review. A couple of individuals will go in detail into the proposal. And they'll test and figure out whether they think that the person has made in their proposal sufficient evidence to support why they think what is true is going to be true. And they'll look at the planned experiments that the person is proposing, so that at the end of the point, if they feel that this is a high likelihood of success, it's addressing a very important question to the kidney community, to the patients, then they'll support that to go forward for consideration of funding.
We started off the month of November by talking about the link between diabetes and kidney disease.
Did you know that November is National Diabetes Month? And did you know that there is a link between diabetes and kidney disease? In fact, diabetes is the leading cause of kidney disease.
And we brought you part 3 in our research grant series as we welcomed Dr. James Land, who in January of 2020 received a 3-year research grant from the Kidney Foundation.
So Dr. Land, you recently received a kidney health research grant to improve access to kidney transplantation for patients. Would you like to give us some more details on it?
I'm happy to. First, I'm very thankful to receive the grant. I think that's great. The idea of the grant comes from the fact that one of the fear complications in transplant is that patients have rejection caused by antibodies. Under the normal circumstance, one makes antibodies when they have been exposed to things like pregnancies, blood transfusions, or they previously had a transplant. So when every person gets listed for a transplant, we do a test to detect antibodies. But what we found was that many patients who never had pregnancy, organ transplant, or transfusion, they are found to have antibodies on the test. And that creates a problem for these patients because on one hand, physicians, we don't want to ignore them when we found them. On the other hand, that limits the access for patients to find a match in the future. So the idea of the grant is to find out why is it that these patients have unexplained antibodies? Where do they come from? And do they really cause injury to the kidney transplant? And if not, then we can ignore them and these patients can have better access to transplantation.
Then we introduced you to Sid Adams, a kidney transplant recipient, and his living kidney donor, Karen Kuhn. They had just celebrated their 3rd kidneyversary, and they shared their inspirational story of a life-saving transplant with us.
I'll be forever grateful to Karen for that generous gift, but also to her husband, Kevin, and their family for supporting her on this journey, because that's so important in these types of situations.
So I'm glad that Sid has regained so much of his quality of life, and it's a pleasure to talk to him. Every couple of weeks or so we connect by phone, and things are really good.
And we kicked off the month of December with an episode full of highlights from BC Kidney Days 2020. BC Kidney Days is an annual conference which brings together clinicians, administrators, and patient partners from across BC, other parts of Canada, and the US to discuss the latest research trends, clinical treatments, and surgical breakthroughs in kidney patient care. And this year, due to COVID-19 pandemic, for the very first time, BC Kidney Days went virtual, and all the conferences and seminars were held online. The theme of the conference this year was Better Together, a patient-centered approach to kidney care. And we proudly introduced the Kidney Foundation's new Kidney Community Calls initiative.
To help kidney patients' emotional and mental well-being, the Kidney Foundation launched a new initiative called Kidney Community Calls. The foundation supports its volunteers to connect with patients through friendly, confidential phone calls. The primary purpose of the calls is to ask patients how they are doing, how they are coping, and to provide a warm, friendly voice and a listening ear. Since the launch of the Kidney Community Calls in May of 2020, the response to the initiative has been tremendous. Volunteers are actively making calls across BC and the Yukon, and this includes Vivian Short. She's one of those volunteers who's been busy reaching out to kidney patients in communities across BC.
And in the spirit of the holiday season, we shared some very special messages and season's greetings from influential leaders in the community.
Hello, everyone. We are going through very, very challenging and extraordinary times due to COVID-19. It has brought the best and the worst in all of us. It requires all of us to play our part, support each other, and make sure that we protect all of us individually and collectively. Happy holidays.
I'd like to wish all of you a wonderful holiday season. I encourage all of you to follow all the guidelines we have in place. Enjoy the season, but please be safe, and let's do our best to protect our community.
Wow, what an incredibly challenging year 2020 has been. We're looking forward to turning the page and bringing you more informative and entertaining plugged-in episodes in 2021.